Wait a minute, that's not right. Can Jey Uso finally yeet his way to a singles title? Will Xavier Woods call the right shots for the New Day? And what's left for Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman to destroy this week? Okay, in the news indeed, I am back from parts unknown, and Raw was back from Ontario, California, as we had an Intercontinental Championship match between main event Jey Uso and Braun Breaker, so we have to start with that. And Jey was determined in this one, and he got off to a quick start, hitting a suicide dive that made Breaker land up against the announce table. But from there, it was really Breaker for most of the rest of the match, as he overpowered Jey for minutes at a time, landing several big moves, including slamming Jey's head against the announce table several times, hitting a jumping clothesline on top of the announce table, landing that crushing gut buster, and his patented Frankensteiner, or if you're Pat McAfee, the Breakensteiner, and of course the Gorilla Press Slam. And after that move, Jey went to the outside where Breaker went for his devastating running spear, which I guess is now called a super spear. So he went for that and hit Jey with the spear, threw him back inside for another spear with him running up against the ropes to get that 23-mile-per-hour momentum. But just like last week, Jey intercepted Breaker with a spear of his own, went for a frog splash and hit it, and Breaker somehow kicked out to stop Jey from becoming the IC champion. But the match continued, and back outside the ring again, Breaker went for a second running spear, but this time Jey intercepted him with a super kick and then speared him through the barricade. He got him back in the ring, landed one more spear, and then a frog splash, and became your new Intercontinental Champion. Congratulations to Jey for becoming a singles champion for the first time in 14 years, and after 6 attempts, including his second attempt at the IC title this year. And he also retakes the lead for most wins on WWE main roster programming with 15, and with 20 total wins on the year. For Breaker, well, he only had one successful title defense, and that was against Sami Zayn, since he had to wait for the IC tournament to conclude. And this loss stops a 3-match winning streak, dropping his record down to 10-5. Jey's friend Sami Zayn kicked off the show with the first match against Ludwig Kaiser, and Kaiser proved to be very vicious yet again, getting Sami caught up on the ropes upside down, hitting a drop kick. Then later, with Zayn trying to balance on top of the barricade, Kaiser pushed him into the timekeeper's area and what is usually Samantha Irvin's chair. So good thing she had gotten out of the way. And then later, he even hit his running drop kick up against the steel steps that woozied Zayn badly, but Zayn was able to make his way back into the ring after a 9 count, just barely keeping the match going. But then Kaiser went for a pin, but he put his feet on the ropes to get an advantage. And fortunately for once, the ref actually saw it, so he stopped the count. But Kaiser then argued with the ref about this, allowing Zayn to take advantage and hit his second exploder suplex of the match, where he then went for Helluva Kick, but Kaiser was ready for it, landing an enziguri and then going for his reverse STO DDT to put it away. But just like last week, Zayn was ready, able to counter, and hit a German suplex and finished him off with a Helluva Kick to get the win. Then Gunther came out to the ring and he said he had seen enough and he was ready to tell Sami no, yet again, to a championship match. Tough one for Sami. Maybe next week he'll have better luck. But for now, he briefly had retied Jey for the lead for singles wins on Monday Night Raw and all of the WWE main roster. But nonetheless, this was his first match since dropping both matches to Breaker, and he goes to 12-8 in one-on-one action. While for Kaiser, he continues to struggle after coming back from his injury. He's now lost 5 straight in any match type, and has gone to 3-4-1 in one-on-one matches. In our other singles match, we had Dragon Lee take on Carlito, and this one broke down quickly as you would expect, with JD McDonough distracting Lee on the apron. But with the LWO protesting McDonough, well, both JD and Dom took out Cruz and Del Toro, but Ray, who did not come down with the rest of the LWO, came out of the crowd, jumped off the barricade, and hit a seated senton onto Dom at ringside. And in this distraction, Dragon Lee was able to take advantage and land the Operation Dragon finisher to get the win. Well, it was Dragon Lee's first win in over 6 months, as he goes to just 2-4 in one-on-one action, while Carlito continues to struggle. He is now just 2-7 with his 3rd straight one-on-one loss. And then in tag matches, we had 2 of them. First, we had Damage Control taking on the Unholy Union of Fire and Dawn, and Damage Control showed good team chemistry to start off, but eventually the Unholy Union was able to wear down Kyrie, and Isla distracted the ref, allowing Alba to work on an attack that injured eye and forehead area on Kyrie. However, Io eventually got the tag, and moments later, Kyrie was able to land an insane elbow on Alba outside the ring, while Io then followed it up with an over the moonsault on Isla inside the ring and pick up the win. So for Damage Control, they get their revenge on the Unholy Union from losing 3 weeks ago, and they go to 3-1 in traditional tags, while the Unholy Union now have dropped 4 out of their last 5 and are just 2-6 in traditional tags. In our other tag match, we had the New Day taking on the Creed brothers after Woods and Kingston had briefly spoken to each other, with Kingston telling Woods to call the shots for the next several weeks. American Made stepped up to both of them, with Gable saying this is how not to achieve success. So Woods, with the newfound power that he had, immediately called for a tag match against the Creeds. So the New Day took advantage early with their good showing of the 10 years of chemistry that they've built up. But things fell apart when Gable distracted the ref, which caused him to miss Woods tagging in Kingston. So the ref physically stopped Kingston from attacking the Creeds, and that allowed both Gable and Brutus to attack Woods, putting his head under the rope while Kofi complained to the ref. Minutes later, Kofi did finally get in, and he took full advantage, hitting a boom drop, Trouble in Paradise, and a nice flip over the top rope onto Julius, where it allowed Woods to set up for an elbow drop to get the win, but Gable distracted him as well, causing Woods to blow a gasket, throwing Gable into the ring and continually punching him on the ground until Julius came up from behind, hit a rough jumping knee, then picked Woods up, allowing Brutus to finish it off with a Brutus Ball. So for American Made, this is their first traditional tag win over someone other than the Alpha Academy, and they go to 3-2 in traditional tags, while the New Day loses for the 2nd straight week, dropping to 3-4-1-1. Well, just like last week, we were supposed to have a 6th match, but for the 2nd straight week, we did not, as the match between The Miz and Big Bronson Reed never got started because Braun Strowman jumped off of the barricade and hit a jumping clothesline on Big Bronson Reed as he was coming out to the ring. So those two brawled from there, with Strowman gaining an early advantage, but The Miz then stopped Strowman, yelling at him, saying that he wanted this match against Reed. But Reed then followed it up with an impressive suicide dive onto Strowman, and then things went completely out of control from there. Adam Pearce called out waves of security guards to the ring, but both Reed and Strowman took them all out, tossing them all over the place. Reed landed a tsunami, Strowman hit a running power slam, and chaos just completely ensued until Strowman finally got on top of the top rope, looked like he was about to jump off onto all of the security guards and onto Reed, when Reed finally backed down, walking away, which will set up a last monster standing match for next week. And beyond the map for Raw, as the show was kicking off, we saw Dom and Liv entering the building, but right in front of them, Reed and Strowman crashed into what appeared to be a concession stand set up at the entrance. So that was a great way to start the show. But Dom and Liv kept going to the ring, and Liv gloated that the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour was going exactly as planned. But of course, Rhea Ripley interrupted, saying that Adam Pearce made the match with a stipulation which Dom Mysterio would have to be above the ring in a shark cage. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And then Rhea topped it off with a headbutt to Liv. Later on, we had Kathy Kelly interviewing Sheamus, and Sheamus said that everyone was telling him to call Pete Dunne Butch. So guess what? He called him Butch. So later, after that, Butch found Sheamus backstage and again hit him several times with the cricket bat before WWE officials separated the two men. Drew McIntyre came to the middle of the ring and said that CM Punk was finally being truthful last week. So he also said that he did not want to go back into the cell either, and his wife was telling him that he needed to get away from CM Punk because she saw what he was doing to him. But McIntyre promised that Punk would bleed, would suffer, and would be permanently broken after this match. And lastly, we had a couple inconsequential vignettes by Damian Priest and the Pure Fusion Collective. Unfortunately, everyone in the arena was forced to re-watch that meeting between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. I'm sure that was great entertainment that they had already seen from paying good money at the arena. And lastly, we also saw another video for the Wyatt Six where they just ended with another QR code. Really a shame that American Made has just moved on and gotten a win, while the Wyatt Six has just gone back to videos. But with that, let's go to STFs. And in this week's STFs, well, it was a light night for the Judgment Day, but we did have Dom and McDonough attacking Cruz and Del Toro during Carlito's match, so we'll have to give them both a fine. But they also took a little bit of punishment because Rhea Ripley headbutted Liv Morgan at the beginning of the show, so that will be a fine for Rhea. We also had Pete Dunne attacking Sheamus backstage, smacking him around multiple times with the cricket bat, so it'll be a 2-week suspension for Pete Dunne. But of course, the big one is Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. First, off the top of the show, we saw both of them crashing into what appeared to be a concession stand, but we have no way of knowing who instigated this one, so we'll just have to give both of them a fine. Then Strowman interrupted the match between Reed and Miz from ever starting, so he will get a 1-week suspension for stopping that match. And then of course, they both brawled after that, but more than anything, they brawled against all kinds of security guards, throwing them all over the place and hitting their finishing moves on them. So this was just beyond the pale, a grossly reckless attack on all of these security guards that we haven't seen for a very long time. So we have to go beyond a month-long suspension, and this one will have to be a termination for both Reed and Strowman. Jey Uso and the WWE Universe finally get to celebrate his first singles title and yeet all over the Intercontinental title. While the New Day continues to fall apart, we will get to see Dom get raised into a shark cage at Bad Blood. And Reed and Strowman take out waves of security guards like flies, and they will both earn terminations. I'm Dr. O'Kay, reporting on the WWE, where everything is okay.